In the dusty attic of an old house, 12-year-old Ayaan finds a small golden key hidden inside a cracked wooden box. Strange symbols are carved on its symbols he has never seen before. That night, he dreams of a door glowing in the forest. But what could this key unlock? And why does a door in his dream feel real? Ayaan visits the forest from his dream. To his shock, deep between the trees, he finds the very same glowing door. When he touches it, the key burns hot in his pocket. The door whispers his name. Intermission. If this door is real, where does it lead, and what secret waits behind it? The golden key fits perfectly. The door opens into a hidden world where time runs differently and shadows move like living creatures. A voice calls out, warning him, "You should not be here." A mysterious girl named Ilara appears. She says she is the guardian of the door, sworn to protect both worlds from what lies beyond. She warns Ayaan that the key is not just his discovery, it has chosen him. Darkness stirs in the hidden world. Shadow beasts begin crossing into the human world, feeding on fear. Ilara reveals the truth. Long ago, the key locked away, an ancient evil. Now, it threatens to return. Ayaan and Ilara face the source of the shadows. The only way to seal it is with a sacrifice. The key demands a life. Ayaan offers himself, but Ilara steps forward instead, vanishing into the door as it seals shut. The forest grows quiet. The golden key turns to dust in Ayaan's hand. Years later, Ayaan, now grown, sits with his own child, telling the tale. Deep in the forest, the door glows faintly once more, waning. The next morning, Ayaan couldn't shake off the dream. With the golden key tight in his pocket, he wandered into the forest. The deeper he went, the quieter the woods became. No birds, no wind, only silence. Then he saw it. Hidden between two ancient trees stood a glowing door, just as it had appeared in his dream. Its surface shimmered like liquid light, and strange carvings ran across it, matching the symbols on the key. Ayaan's heartbeat quickened. His hand trembled as he reached out. The moment his fingers brushed the door, the key in his pocket grew unbearably hot. He pulled it out only to hear something that froze him in place. The door whispered, not in a language unknown, but in his own name. Ayaan. His breath caught in his throat. The forest seemed to lean closer, as if holding its breath. With a trembling hand, Ayaan slid the golden key into the lock. It clicked softly, almost like a heartbeat. The glowing door creaked open, spilling out a blinding light. When his eyes adjusted, he gasped. Before him stretched a world unlike any he had ever imagined. The sky shimmered with shifting colors, rivers flowed upward into the air, and giant trees glowed with silver leaves. But not everything was beautiful. Shadows slithered along the ground, moving as if they had a will of their own. Ayaan stepped inside, and instantly the air grew heavy. Time felt strange. Here moments stretched and bent, as though the world itself breathed differently. Then a sudden chill, a voice, low and urgent, echoed through the strange land. You should not be here. Ayaan spun around, heart pounding, but no one was there. The shadows around him twitched, as though listening. Fear prickled down his spine. For the first time, he wondered if opening the door had been a mistake. Ayaan froze. The warning voice still echoed in his ears. From the shifting shadows, a figure slowly stepped forward. It was a girl about his age, but with eyes that glowed like molten silver. Her long cloak shimmered as if woven from starlight. She carried no weapon, yet her presence was powerful, commanding. I am Ilara, she said firmly. The guardian of the door. Ayaan swallowed hard. The door. The key. Why did it call my name? Alara's gaze softened, though a trace of sorrow lingered in her eyes. The key chooses its bearer, she explained. Not everyone can see the door. Not everyone can cross it. But you and you were chosen. Chosen for what? He whispered. Alara looked past him, toward the creeping shadows that curled at the edges of the glowing trees. For a task greater than you can imagine, she said, because the shadows you see are only the beginning. A distant roar trembled through the hidden world. The ground shook beneath their feet. Alara tightened her grip on the air, as though holding back something unseen. You have no idea what danger you've awakened. The roar faded, but the forest was no longer still. From the corners of the glowing world, dark shapes began to move. At first, they looked like shadows cast by the trees, but then they stood up, twisting, shifting, and stretching into creatures with no faces, only glowing red eyes. Alara's silver eyes flashed. The shadow beasts, she hissed. They've sensed the key has awakened. The ground cracked beneath their feet as the creatures crept closer, their whispering voices filling the air like a storm of fear. Ayaan clutched the golden key, its warmth pulsing in his palm like a heartbeat. Alara, what do they want? He asked, his voice shaking. They want freedom, she said grimly. Long ago, this key locked away their master on ancient evil that nearly destroyed both our worlds. If the shadows break free, nothing will stop them. The beasts lunged forward. Alara raised her hand, and a shield of light burst from her palm, holding them back, but the strain showed on her face. Ayaan took a step back. For the first time, he realized the truth. The key was not just a discovery, it was a responsibility, and it had chosen him. The battle raged in the glowing forest. Alara's shield of light cracked under the weight of the shadow beasts. Ayaan clutched the golden key tighter, its glow spreading up his arm. The air vibrated with a single truth: this key wasn't just a weapon, it was a lock, and the door could only be sealed one final time. With a life, Ayaan's heart pounded. He looked at Alara. If that's the price, then it has to be me. Before she could stop him, he stepped toward the swelling portal of darkness. The key burned brighter, preparing to take his soul as its offering. But Alara's hand shot out, pulling him back. Her silver eyes glistened with tears. No, Ayaan. The key chose you to live, not to die. This is my duty as guardian. She pressed her hand over his and whispered a phrase in the ancient language of the door. The golden key pulsed once, then slipped from his grip into hers. Alara, no, Ayaan cried, but it was too late. She stepped forward, her body glowing with golden light. The shadow beasts shrieked, clawing at the air as she raised the key high. With a final cry, she plunged it into the heart of the door. The forest erupted in light. The beasts dissolved into dust, and the door sealed shut with a thunderous echo. When the light faded, Alara was gone. Only silence remained. Ayaan fell to his knees, the weight of loss heavy on his chest. The forest was quiet again. The golden glow faded, and the ground where Alara had stood was empty. Only a faint shimmer of starlight lingered in the air, like a memory refusing to die. Ayaan sat in the silence, clutching the empty space where the key had once been. He whispered her name, but only the trees answered with a soft rustle. Time passed. Seasons changed. The boy grew into a man, but the memory of that night never left him. Years later, he sat by the fire with his young daughter on his lap. Her wide eyes sparkled as he finished the story of the golden key and the brave guardian. "Papa?" she asked softly. "Do you think the door is still out there?" Ayaan hesitated, looking toward the forest outside. The wind carried a faint shimmer, and for a heartbeat, just a heartbeat, he thought he saw a silver glow between the trees. He smiled gently, brushing his daughter's hair back. "Some doors," he whispered, "are never truly closed." That night, as the fire dimmed, the forest stirred, hidden deep within. The door pulsed faintly with golden light, waiting. It all started in a place forgotten by time, the dusty attic of my grandfather's house. I was 12, and for me, that attic was a treasure trove of forgotten stories. Sunlight streamed through a single grimy window, illuminating dancing dust motes that looked like tiny, golden fairies. I was rummaging through old trunks filled with moth-eaten clothes and faded photographs when my hand brushed against a small, cracked wooden box tucked away in a dark corner. Curiosity, as it always does with kids my age, got the better of me. I pried it open. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded red velvet, was a small golden key. It wasn't just any key. It was heavy, intricate, and covered in strange, swirling symbols I'd never seen before. It felt warm to the touch, almost like it was alive. I spent the rest of the afternoon trying to figure out what it was for, trying it on every lock in the house, but it fit none of them. I was disappointed, but I slipped it into my pocket, feeling a strange connection to this little piece of gold. That night, something incredible happened. I was in my room, the golden key resting on my nightstand, when I heard a faint, melodic whisper. It was a single word, my name, Ayaan. I sat bolt upright in bed, my heart pounding. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I looked around, but my room was empty. Then I saw it. On the wall opposite my bed, where there had only ever been plain wallpaper, a faint, shimmering light was taking shape. I grabbed the key, its warmth now a comforting hum in my palm. The light on the wall grew brighter, coalescing into the outline of a door. It wasn't made of wood or metal, but pure, pulsating golden light. The strange symbols from the key were now dancing and swirling around the doorframe, and in the center of the glowing door, a keyhole materialized, pulsing in time with my own heartbeat. The whisper came again, clearer this time, beckoning. Ayaan. My hand was shaking, but I wasn't scared. I was filled with a sense of wonder I'd never known. This was an invitation. Taking a deep breath, I walked towards the glowing door, raised the key, and inserted it into the shimmering keyhole. It turned with a satisfying, silent click. The light intensified, flooding my room, and the door swung open, not into my hallway, but into a world beyond my wildest dreams. Stepping through was like diving into a sea of liquid starlight. The air hummed with a strange energy, and the sky above was a swirling nebula of purple and green. The ground beneath my feet was soft, like moss, and glowed with a faint, internal light. Bizarre, beautiful plants with crystalline leaves grew in spirals, and rivers of silver water flowed uphill. But as beautiful as it was, a sense of unease crept over me. The shadows here, they weren't normal. They stretched and twisted in unnatural ways, seeming to move on their own, even when nothing was there to cast them. I quickly learned that time itself was different here. An hour might feel like a minute, or a single step could feel like it took an eternity. It was in this strange, bewitching landscape that I saw her. A figure emerged from behind a grove of glowing trees, moving with a silent grace. She was tall, with long, silver hair that seemed to catch the light of the nebulae above, and her eyes held the wisdom of ages. She wasn't surprised to see me. In fact, she looked like she had been waiting. "You have come," she said, her voice the same melodic whisper I'd heard in my room. "I am Alara, the guardian of this gateway." She gestured to the world around us. "This is the nexus, the space between worlds." "And that," she said, pointing to the key still clutched in my hand, "is the key of echoes. It does not just open doors, Ayaan. It keeps them sealed." Alara explained that the nexus was a place of pure creation, but it was also a prison. Long ago, beings of pure malice, the shadow beasts, were locked away here. They are creatures born from fear and despair, and they crave the light and life of other worlds, especially ours. The key I held was one of many, each protecting a gateway, but the seals were weakening. The whispers I heard were not just a call, but a warning. The shadows I'd seen moving were the first signs of their escape. She told me my family line had been guardians for generations, unknowingly passing the duty down. My discovery of the key wasn't an accident. It was destiny. The key had chosen me, sensing the weakening of the seal. I was just a kid, completely overwhelmed. Me, a guardian. It seemed impossible, but looking into Alara's determined eyes, I felt a spark of courage ignite within me. As if summoned by our conversation, the ground began to tremble. A low, guttural growl echoed through the nexus, and the shadows around us began to coalesce. They rose up from the glowing ground, forming hulking, monstrous shapes, with claws of solidified darkness and eyes that burned with cold, empty hunger. The shadow beasts were breaking through. "They are stronger than I feared," Alara said, her calm demeanor replaced by a fierce urgency. She pushed me back towards the glowing doorway. "You must go. The gateway must not remain open." She drew a slender, glowing blade from her side, its light a stark contrast to the encroaching darkness. Panic seized me. I couldn't just leave her. "What about you?" I yelled over the rising cacophony of snarls. "A guardian's duty is to protect the seal at any cost," she replied, a sad smile touching her lips. "This is my cost." She fought with a beautiful, deadly grace, a whirlwind of silver light against a tide of black. But there were too many. For every one she struck down, two more rose to take its place. One of them lunged, its shadowy claws reaching for me as I stood frozen in the doorway. Alara threw herself in front of me, taking the full force of the blow. She cried out, not in pain, but with a surge of power. A brilliant white light erupted from her, pushing the beasts back. "Seal the door, Ayaan. Now," she commanded, her form starting to fade, dissolving into pure energy. "Remember, the story must be told." With tears streaming down my face, I scrambled back into my room and slammed the door. The world on the other side vanished. I turned the golden key, and with a final, mournful chime, the glowing outline of the door faded away, leaving only the familiar wallpaper. Alara was gone. She had sacrificed herself to give me time, to ensure the seal held. Years passed. I grew up, but I never forgot that night. I never forgot the magical world, the hungry shadows, or Alara's sacrifice. I kept the key safe, always. It remained warm, a constant reminder of the duty I now carried. I often wondered if other gateways existed, if other guardians were fighting the same battle. Now, I have a child of my own. Tonight, sitting by his bed, I look at his wide, curious eyes, and I know it's time. I pull out a small, cracked wooden box from my drawer. His eyes light up as I open it, revealing the small golden key nestled inside. I have a story to tell you. I begin, my voice a soft echo of the past. It starts in a dusty attic, with a key just like this one. I place the key in his small hand. It glows with a faint, warm light. I don't know what his future holds, or if the whispers will one day call his name, but I know the story must be told. The legacy must continue, and a new guardian must be ready. The door is sealed for now, but the key of echoes waits, and the story is far from over. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures. Let me know in the comments what you think might happen next. Until next time, keep exploring the magic in your own world.